What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now, Wednesday night. It is a big boy slate. The sites did not get together. They're doing things a little bit differently tonight. DK is cutting off the last 3 games at 9. So 9 in total. The last game on the DK slate, it's the Suns and the Mavs. FanDuel insists on we talk about the Lakers and the Thunder, as well as the Hawks and the Kings and Denver and the Clippers. Those 3 games. All games included on the FanDuel slates. Myself, Dean Chabelson, joined today. Kyle Murray. Kyle, get comfortable. Hour and 15 until we hand it over to Crunch Time. Crunch Time coming in around 6:15, 6:20 on the East Coast, taking you all the way up to lock. Chief NRL, Kevin Roth. We're also holding it down. Notorious and TastefulTides. Tim, Kyle, one of the points of contention, not of contention, but conversation at least, is going to be your Pistons. Myself and producer Steve were talking pre-show that line looks awfully suspicious. It looks awfully fishy. They're basically telling us, I think they're telling us, that Cade or Duren, one or both of those guys are possibly out. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. How are things?
Yeah, they're good. I do think I agree on the fishiness of that line. I think last night it was either 1.5 or 2.5 in favor of the Pistons at home. And obviously all those guys ended up missing shoot around for Detroit. So yeah, certainly some question marks there. Obviously Cade got banged up in that overtime win against Washington. He came back and he played, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him, get a night off here. I think the Duren stuff was a little bit more surprising, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. NBA debut for me on RotoGrinders. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, you've been in the weeds plenty, obviously, with on the back end with projections and all that. I'm guessing you're not working double duty. You're not doing projections as well. Somebody else on top of that.
We got multiple guys, but I'll be chipping in a little bit as the show goes on if stuff rolls in.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of news already breaking throughout the day. A lot of stars, and we're talking about the possibility of Cunningham sitting, the possibility of Duren sitting, the Cavs. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact the Cavaliers have been hanging out in South Beach for the last couple of days. They're resting some of their stars because they played on Monday. The game of the year so far. Can we say that game of the year? Monday was just a lot of fun. The Pistons played a great game on Monday too. The Cunningham game you're talking about. Who was he good? I don't know, but he was amazing. He was like 14 for 45 from the field, something like that. But
the Spurs and Bulls game that night too with Wemby.
Wemby with the walk-off threes. The basketball, and that was going on the same time as there was a shutout in the NFL for Monday Night Football, which is I did not watch that, but apparently the Packers played a stinker on Monday night. But Giannis already ruled out as well. Donovan Mitchell not playing basketball tonight. Evan Mobley not playing basketball. Darius Garland, he's legit hurt. Max Strus legit hurt. Even Jalen Tyson, he's got a concussion, so he's not playing basketball for Cleveland. So the day started out with how much Cleveland is too much Cleveland, and certainly Cleveland is still interesting to me, and we'll talk about it. We'll go game by game here in a second. Just wanted to get a quick overview, but the absence of Giannis being ruled out now. We're talking about Kyle Kuzma. We're talking about Bobby Portis. Although I'm really curious to get your take on Portis and Turner. Like last time we saw this, they barely overlapped. We've seen a little bit more overlap of late. Kalkbrenner is officially questionable. I think, did he have a child? Is that what was happening there with Kalkbrenner? That might have been his situation. Personal reasons. I don't think he plays, but a lot of this stuff is 7 o'clock, and we will know. Just like Detroit will know. If we don't know, Crunch Time will know. Lots of more news coming through. Levine not playing on the FanDuel slate. He just got ruled out for Sacramento. The teams on the back half of a back-to-back: Denver, Boston, Golden State, Memphis, New York, OKC, Sacramento. 3 teams in the front end: Atlanta, Cleveland, and Phoenix. Man, it's a wild one. You can pay for any star you want. It's not that hard to get them because there is sometimes there's a dearth of value. There's a plethora of value tonight. You have to like your line. It's hard not to like your lineups tonight. I don't think you have to get too goofy. Certainly in the stuff I play in, the single entry stuff mostly. It's not like like Paul Reed could all of a sudden be the chalk du jour if we get Duren ruled out. There's still potentially more chalk pieces coming. But do you have any general thoughts, overview as far as the slate tonight?
I mean, yeah, I think you broke it down pretty well with all the value. I think on slates like this where you have so much value, I tend to either look for ways in which if that value fails, because when we get spots like this with even Milwaukee, we've seen I think one game with Giannis out, and obviously Ryan Rollins went off for that game, but minutes wise, Milwaukee going to be fairly volatile. Cleveland, same deal. I mean, Cleveland's just a mess. Unfortunately, it is kind of like guessing on minutes here. I did the overnight projections for Cleveland. Usually you have a pretty good feeling about it. We don't even, I mean, I guess we'll have a better feel when we get official starters, but yeah, Cleveland, like there's a very real chance that the minutes are just going to be wrong across the industry. So I think situations like that you want to look into and see, okay, maybe where the field is being consolidated on a spot like Cleveland, maybe Milwaukee a little bit to a certain extent, but and then look to take stands there. That's the best way that I can kind of break down the value. And then with all this value, you have pretty much unlimited salary, so you can essentially do whatever you want up top. So if there's a guy who maybe you would normally like, but maybe just a little bit too expensive on this kind of slate, well, this is a great sort of time to pay that premium and maybe look to get a little bit different on a guy who might be a little bit more expensive than the field would project. Because again, like a lot of these projections are pretty efficient and pretty close to each other across the industry. So like for me, a guy that sticks out in that sort of context would be Paolo Banchero. He projected pretty well, but he's a tough matchup. There's plenty of reasons why there are other options in that range, but he's going to be a guy that goes a little bit overlooked. So not saying that I am essentially on him tonight. He's a guy that I think's fine, but those sorts of plays at the spend up options.
I have one of those plays that's projects pretty good, but also isn't like landing in a bunch of lineups because of the reasons we kind of laid out.
Yeah.
Let's see, 13-14% current ownership, which I think this player is going to be like my differentiator in my single entry contest. I say that now, but more news might be trickling in to kind of change things. But we'll talk about him soon enough. There are 3 games in the 7 o'clock window. I don't think you can punt the 7 o'clock window because there are some pretty tasty ones here, especially if the news falls we were talking about with Detroit. But we'll talk about Milwaukee first. Milwaukee at Charlotte, 228.5. That's the total. The Bucks are about 2-point favorites here. As far as the injury report for Milwaukee, Alex Antetokounmpo is out, but not just Alex, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the crucial one. Giannis Antetokounmpo is out as well. KPJ not playing basketball. Taurean Prince unavailable. For the Hornets, still no LaMelo Ball. He's got that ankle. Cockbrenner officially questionable, but his wife just gave birth, and I assume he's not going to play. I assume they'll give him an excused absence here. I think we're still projecting Cockbrenner in. And I'm not doing the low-hanging fruit here, Kyle. There's a joke there with his wife giving birth and his name. I'm not doing it.
I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about? What's his name? Ryan? How does that? Where's that joke?
It's a thinker. It's a thinker. You take a minute or so after the show, and it's going to come to you out of nowhere. So Brandon Miller also still out as well. So the absence of Giannis on Milwaukee. Ryan Rollins projects good. Kuzma projects as one of the top point per dollar plays in the slate. Bobby Portis is the tricky one. I'm curious, at least to me. Maybe take me through your thought process, because I think that's one of the tougher ones to project, because we've seen earlier in the season in a similar situation with Giannis being out, and Portis did not get the minutes we were expecting necessarily. And I think I want to say there was 0 crossover with him and Turner. Might have been a minute or two. Now we've seen more of that of late. And also, would that change if Cock is in? If Cock is out, the opponent, of course, matters. We think Cockbrenner's out. At least I think he's going to be out. I guess Diabate is going to step in there. Another 5, like Mason, the plum dog. I guess they'll dust off the plum dog, I suppose. They can go smaller if they want to. I'm curious how you see this game going. Is Kuzma and Portis, are they good chalk?
So Portis is a guy who I think rates wise looks really good with Giannis. I think you bring up a really good point where we've seen, Portis is coming off of a season high minutes. He played about 27.5 minutes last game, and that's really the first time we saw a good amount of crossover minutes wise with Portis and Turner. I think primarily in a game where Turner is out, that's where Portis would look best, especially if it's a game where both of those guys are out. But when you throw it back to the last time Giannis missed was that Golden State game on October 30th. Portis didn't start. He only played 18 minutes. So there is some concern there. I do tend to believe that he's going to get some more run, considering we have seen him get the uptick in minutes. I will note, though, last game, he was playing really well. I think around the time where you would sort of expect him to come out of that rotation. I was tracking this very closely because I had his over on rebounds. He hit like 3 threes in a row. So you're not going to take a guy out when he does that. So I think it's still going to be difficult for people to project him in that 28-plus minute range. We have him currently at right at 28 minutes. So I think anything above that is like pushing the barrier. I think 26 to 28 sounds pretty good for Bobby Portis, and he's more than capable of getting there in that time. So I think he is a good play. Kuzma, he's going to see the minutes more likely than a guy like Bobby Portis. He played 35 last time Giannis was out. So I do think both those guys are good plays. But these are two spots where you could maybe make a case for at least pivoting in that range on DraftKings in that price point, just because there may be a little bit of volatility minutes-wise with Portis and a little bit of volatility efficiency-wise per minute with Kyle Kuzma.
And there's Rollins looks really good as well for Milwaukee. You could play Trent if you want to play Trent. We saw Con Kneppel have his, arguably his best game as a pro. Michigan guy, right? Isn't he? I think he's a Michigan guy. Am I making that up?
He went to Duke, but before that, I don't know where he's from.
Oh, I feel like he was from I heard an interview. Maybe I'm making this up. Somebody confirm this or deny it. But I thought he has Michigan roots. Maybe I'm just confusing him with somebody else. I'm not sure. The minutes have been electric as well, 40 and 38 the last 2 games. He took 23 shots versus Miami, just firing away. Again, the absence of ball, certainly the path is clear. Price got bumped up, but I don't know if it's bumped up high enough. I do like him more on FanDuel. He's cheaper over there. I think he's 6'1 or 6'2, 6'6 on DK, playable. And then, Miles Bridges is certainly a guy that, like we've seen, in the absence of ball, the absence of Miller, rise up. And Giannis being gone makes the path a little easier as well defensively. And, the chances of getting in foul trouble is subdued as well without Giannis on the court. So, yeah, this game all around, Rollins, Kuzma, Portis, I think you could play Turner. Turner's fine. Probably wouldn't play both Portis and Turner. I don't know if you're a rules guy or that's a rule you consider. I don't know if I play them together. They can both get there, I guess, but can they both get ceiling games? I'm not sure. Yeah, how are you handling the Hornets tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Kneppel is a good call. The thing that was most impressive for me last game, he flashed some triple-double upside. He had 9 assists, 10 rebounds. Coming into the league, I kind of figured he was a guy who would be able to grab some rebounds, and he's a pretty big guy. By the way, from Milwaukee, but did go to Duke because Duke had, I think, 5 starters drafted in the first round, maybe even in the lottery last year. But
who are they playing tonight, Con Kneppel?
The Bucks. Oh, I see. Okay, where is that? Is that in Milwaukee?
It's not in Milwaukee.
Okay.
I don't know if the family's traveling or not, but there you go. Of note, I suppose.
But maybe he grew up a Bucks fan. He wants to get after it a little bit. I could see that. But it was nice to see some peripheral production from him. That was, an impressive feat from him. I thought he would kind of come into the league and be, get some rebounds, but mostly just be a shooter. Obviously, he's been a guy who's not been afraid to chuck it from behind the arc. But no, he's shaping into a guy who can kind of do it all. And it's been opening up a little bit, obviously, with LaMelo and Brandon Miller out. It's worth noting that Sexton also missed last game. Sexton's going to be a guy who's not afraid to take a possession away from the entire team by just not passing the ball, bring the ball up, no passes. The Jordan Clarkson effect, I suppose. But nonetheless, I think Kneppel is my favorite Charlotte player. Also, I think Bridges is kind of one of those guys that I mentioned when I was talking kind of about Paolo Banchero. Like, he looks really good, but people probably aren't going to get to him a whole lot because there's so many elite plays today. So paying a little bit of a premium for Miles Bridges could make some sense. I mean, he also has really elite rates with no LaMelo and no Brandon Miller on the floor. So both those guys I like quite a bit. And then we'll see how the Kalkbrenner news comes in.
If we lose Kalkbrenner, we're currently projecting 24 minutes for Diabate. Yeah. What would he get, like 28? Something like that? Is that what would you guess?
28, I would say is probably where we'd come in minimum. We saw him play 29 minutes last game, so it's good to see that sort of floor for him. But the thing is, they don't have a ton of size behind him now, so he might be even forced to play a bit more. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a 30-minute projection.
Plumlee's the guy behind him. The other thing is like they're playing small ball 5 when Turner comes out. It'll be Porter's at the 5, so
yeah,
you don't really need a guy like Plumlee.
Yep.
That'll be interesting to see how the matchups work there. But yet he would project well. It's just that a lot of people project well, and on FanDuel you're looking at roster 1 center, you can roster 2 on DK. And Diabate traditionally is not the kind of guy that just like breaks slates. He can get you a cheap double. And you throw in some stocks. Like he should be good point per dollar. I just don't know if he's got a massive ceiling that could just kind of like smash. Well, he's currently projecting pretty good, like 25 fantasy points, 4.5K in DK. But if that's what you get, I mean, it's not killing your lineup per se, but it's not getting you anywhere, But again, those minutes might get a boost. But this is, I think, one of the more appealing games on the slates to me. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely up there in terms of value on the slate. I will say it's always interesting to see how a team will change pace-wise with Giannis out, because obviously he's a guy who can really push the floor. And last year when they had, Dame, such a good half-court guy, I guess I would have to go back and look at their actual pace numbers. But, they scored 120 points in that game. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a pretty fast-paced game as well, with Sexton coming back. And, even with Giannis out, there should be a good amount of possessions in this game.
In the off chance we get news for Detroit in the next minute or so, I'm just going to skip that game and jump to Orlando, New York, and we'll jump back. This is the first half of the ESPN doubleheader, 227.5. That is the total here. Orlando is a 3.5-point dog. New York, nobody. Their injury report is not just clean, but like non-existent. There's nobody on there. I'm scrambling looking at the NBA official injury report, and the Knicks just don't appear because Mitch Rob is back from his rest. He's not on there. Nobody's on there. So New York is good to go. As far as Orlando, Franz Wagner available, good to go, wearing that face mask. Mo Wagner, his brother Moritz, still yet to make his season debut. Otherwise, Orlando fully healthy. Suggs also back from his rest. So, on a slate with a bunch of players rolled out, a bunch of teams thin, without some superstars, these are two healthy teams, essentially. I can't get excited about this one. Orlando and New York. And this is the spot where you say, hey, if you want to overspend to be different, and just ownership's going to be off on some of these guys. I heard in the six-pack, Beer said that it's Banchero's birthday. I don't know how we're factoring that in. Birthday in New York should be fun. But Desmond Bain finally, did something to smile about. He had that game winner on Monday. That was Monday, right? I think that was Monday. Everything happened on Monday.
Yeah, Monday, yeah.
With like 0.4 seconds to go. It's like maybe he's starting to get his footing here in Orlando. But I don't really like this game, Orlando and New York. Do you want to talk me into something?
Yeah, I mean, I do a podcast once or twice a week on the Action Network, the Buckets podcast, and we have a guy who does the actual radio for the Magic, Brandon Kravitz, who was talking about how Paolo, before the season started, said he had this game circled on his schedule, and this was back in September during a media day, I believe he said. So, it's in Madison Square Garden, ESPN, which doesn't matter as much now that some people can't watch it with YouTube TV, but and 23rd birthday. So, yeah, I mean, if there's a narrative that you're looking for, certainly fits the bill. But I think from a slate dynamic perspective, he's the kind of guy that I think makes a lot of sense, because nobody's going to play Paolo at 9-2, and you have, you can even make a case for both of the other spend ups on the other side. Cat and Brunson, they both project better. They both look better. But Paolo's a guy who's going to have maybe sub 5% ownership, because it's going to be a pretty consolidated slate with everyone kind of having all this value to work with. So, yeah, I think Paolo is a guy who he's certainly my favorite player on the Magic. I like him quite a bit. I guess Jalen Suggs is also in consideration. He's pretty underpriced at 5K, and kind of expecting a little bit of a minutes bump for him in this one. So Paolo and Suggs are really the only two Magic I'm looking at. I feel like if you're going to play Franz or Desmond Bain, I know they're cheaper, but you're still sort of making the same argument where you're paying a little bit of a premium on a slate where they don't project as like elite values to just get a little bit different. So I would probably rather do that with Banchero, who is the guy I think has 60 plus upside. So yeah, Paolo's the guy that I would prefer to spend up with, although again, you are paying a premium for that ownership discount, but either him or Suggs is where I'm looking at on the Magic.
I know it's an expression, but do people still circle thing on calendars? Like, is that something people do? Do you actually circle the calendar?
I mean, no, I don't know if people. I can guarantee you, Paulo Banchero does not own a physical calendar.
Like in his garage, he is on the calendar. He's like
No
circling
shot.
like November
No shot.
12th.
Because he's 6 years younger than me, and I've never owned a physical calendar. So I know for sure he does not have a physical calendar. But I wouldn't be surprised if he like had a little, in his calendar app, a little alert set up where it has this game saved. I'm sure he has probably all the games saved, but maybe this one had a little bit of extra flair to it, considering birthday in MSG against the Knicks, prime time. So yeah, I think it's probably more of a metaphor at this point.
The Buckets podcast. Tell me more. Forgive me, I've not listened. Is that a daily thing? Is that a weekly thing? Is talking about the flow of basketball? What do you guys cover?
Yeah, it's a daily thing, Monday through Friday. We do just prop bets and bets and stuff. We do it the night before. So last night I gave out like 3 or 4 plays on there, and then so I do that like 2 or 3 times a week.
Nice. Yeah, I know you're always writing stuff up on Scores and Odds like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I imagine there's probably some overlap as far as some things you talk about in the podcast as well. I don't want to go on the rant about YouTube, but do you have the YouTube as well?
I sure do. Yep.
You know this. So they said, hey, we're going to give you $20 off, but we're not just going to give it to you. You got to jump through these 9 hoops to get $20 off. And like, we know we owe it to you because we're not, ESPN's not taking money from us. We're not showing ESPN, but you got to do this and this and this and so. Can't you just give it to us? Like, can't you just give it to everybody? I know it's too simple.
Yeah, I can't make it easy on us.
Yeah. I got an email to like, stay tuned for directions on how to get your $20. It's like, just like give the people what they're owed. All right. Yeah. I know it's all right. That's the end of my rant. We don't have time for such things. Let's talk about the Bulls and the Pistons. Again, Bulls are 1.5 point favorites in Detroit, which that smells. That definitely stinks to me. That does not make any sense if everybody was healthy. We touched on it before as far as Detroit. Cunningham took that nasty fall. If you were watching the game, you probably were. I was. He was down for multiple minutes. There was like several timeouts. There was reviews. He was in the locker room, and he was fouled. So it was one of those deals where if he doesn't take his foul shots, that's it. That's the rule. You can't come back in the game. And he went in the locker room like, oh boy. I mean, is he going to come back out? And he did come back out, and he saved my lineup. Thank you, Cade. He was spectacular. He went to overtime, but it was a tough spill. I don't know what happened to Duren. I didn't see that, but he's also questionable and seems pretty dicey. Of course, Tobias Harris is still out. Sasser's still out. Beef Stew officially doubtful. I assume Stewart's not going to play. Javonte Green was really good. Holland was really bad. Who was it? Jenkins? Jenkins was awesome, right? He's the one that he was spectacular. He made the shot going into overtime. He probably would be the guy. I think you actually did this. Did you write the if then for Detroit?
That one was not me, but I think that would have been Jim Turvey.
Okay, yeah. All right. So if we happen to lose both those guys, like Paul Reed in 28 minutes projects amazing. Yeah. And Jenkins would project really well, assuming that Cade is out. And that's what we need is more value in the slate, but that's what we're going to get. Javonte Green looks fine as is. And, of course, the Bulls, they have Giddey, who he took a bad spill as well. His spill was the cause of, DeAndre Hunter shaking him off the old ankle breaker. I'm sure you saw that gif as well. Yeah. He's got an ankle, so he's questionable. Kobe White we get to see this season. But, do the best you can with this right now as far as Detroit and Chicago. Like, if Duren plays, he projects awesome. Vuk is not a great defender. And is he the early front runner for most improved player? I have not checked the odds on that, but that feels like it in my head.
Yeah, there are a couple of pretty good candidates, but yeah, Duren has to be up there. I think the way he's kind of rounded out his offensive game has been super impressive. You always have to kind of be worried about a guy like that who is so like he's not the stereotypical athletic center anymore, like where he can go out and shoot and stuff like that. But Giddey on the other side too, he's also up there for most. I would say that these two teams are going to probably have the most improved player. Maybe Ryan Rollins is in the equation if he continues to have a really solid breakout season. But yeah, I would say either Giddey or Duren are probably front runner for that award.
If Giddey doesn't play, you're probably going to see Herter jump in the starting lineup. Herter, Trey Jones will project well. We saw DeSumo lose his minutes restriction last time. He was playing mid-20s or so. Now I think he played 30 last game out. Buzelis wasn't particularly great. But, again, 7 o'clock game. I don't really like to tie up all my spots so early. But, Milwaukee, there's good stuff. Charlotte, there's good stuff. Detroit, I think we can really get – if Duran plays, he looks good. If Cunningham plays, he looks good. If they don't, we're going to get some awesome value. And we'll probably get that new 6:30, I imagine. That's typically when we're going to get that kind of stuff. And right now, we're probably going to get game time decision an hour and a half before. I imagine that's how it's going to go down. But this is what we have to do with. If we happen to lose Duran, is Paul Reed just like a lock and load?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think 3.9 on DraftKings.
Yeah,
I guess he'd be more of a question on FanDuel. But yeah, on DraftKings he'd be pretty much a slam dunk play. Especially, I don't really see a world where we don't project him for 26 to 28 minutes. I mean, don't have a ton of bodies behind him to take minutes. I know they just picked up Isaac Jones off waivers, so he'd probably get somewhat of a projection. Maybe Bobby Clinton can play some like small ball 5 when Jalen Smith's running in the 5 there. But for the most part, I think it's going to be a 28-minute projection, 26 to 28 minimum for Paul Reed. So he would project as a literal slam dunk there. I think the one guy that's interesting is Ron Holland.
Yeah.
Who coming into the game last time, we were pretty hot on him projections wise, and I told our Slack, I was like, hey, if this fails, I'll put my hand up. That's on me. I thought he was in an incredible spot. He got the minutes. He just didn't do anything with them. So, and then you obviously had Dennis Jenkins have his best game of his entire basketball life. Even hit that game-tying 3 at the buzzer there. So Holland missed out on some minutes, also didn't play well. But great time to go back to him here, in my opinion, especially if the ownership's going to be down on him. I think from a projection standpoint, we actually just got Josh Giddey out news. So I think from a projection standpoint, the ownership numbers are probably going to be pretty low or they're going to be higher on Holland. They likely come in as I think people might have that bitter taste in their mouths and be afraid to go back there. But you got to have a short memory in DFS. So Holland's going to be a guy that I probably like quite a bit here.
Yeah, the old Ted Lasso. You got to be a goldfish, Kyle. You got to be a goldfish. Have that goldfish memory. We'll see what projections say about the Bulls, but I think we had an if-then set up for Giddey as well. But I think Jones, Herter, DeSumo, all 3 of those guys are going to project pretty well. Again, just add them to the bucket because it's not. There's a lot of good players, a lot of players that project really, really well tonight. We'll scoot along and we'll circle back if necessary. Cavs, Heat. 238.5 is a total. I talked about this the other night. Like, imagine if you saw Cavs Heat 238.5 total last year. Like, this game was 217, right? 220. I'm not sure if you've watched much Heat this year. They're a lot of fun. They're a blast to watch. Much more enjoy the way they're playing these days. Fastest team in all of basketball, playing really free. No Bam. Bam's still out, obviously, for Miami. In addition to Bam, Tyler Hero, we've yet to see him this season, of course. Terry Rozier not playing. Khalil Ware on the injury report with a hip. He's available to go. David Mitchell, Jaime Jaquez, all those guys available on the injury report. But the Cavs, they're the story here. Garland, legit toe injury. Donovan Mitchell's got a rest. Mobley's got a rest. To be fair, it is the front half of back-to-back, and they are traveling. So tomorrow night, maybe we see some rest for the rest of the guys. We'll see. Tomorrow, Larry Nance is questionable with the knee. Max Drew's still out. And Jalen Tyson has a concussion. They still have a lot of bodies. I think they're 11 or 12, depending on if Nance plays. Lonzo almost definitely doesn't play tomorrow, so maybe they push him a little bit to – I'll be giving him 28. I can see him playing 28 tonight. So I think Lonzo looks really good. He's 3.9, I want to say, on FanDuel. How much do we like the Cavs here? But it's the old perfect storm because it's not just a tighter rotation, some significant pieces being out, but it's a matchup against Miami. They fly more possessions. So talking about the Cavs.
Yeah, they fly and they're without their by far their most significant defensive player, Bam Adebayo, who not only is he just good defensively, but he makes everyone around him so much better defensively. He's like the Draymond of Miami, where he gets people in the right spot, and really allows everyone to play better defensively. So yeah, so it's a great spot here, and I'll go even further. It's one of these spots where everybody's out and it's still a tight spread, only a 5.5 point spread. So it's not one of those spots where you're like, oh, we're going to have DeAndre Hunter at 33 minutes and a bunch of usage, but they're 15.5 point underdogs. He might not play the fourth quarter. 5.5 point spread. I mean, I still think Cleveland could get blown out here, but I don't think it's a lock. I think this game probably is going to stay fairly close. So DeAndre Hunter, I like quite a bit here. I do think the ownership's pretty accurate to DeAndre Hunter currently. I think it's probably a bit high for a guy like Jared Allen. Jared Allen's actually a guy that I tend to worry about in scenarios like this because he's not going to create his own shots. And I don't really think – I mean, yeah, he might get a little bit of a rebound boost here with no Evan Mobley, but offensively, I don't think he's a guy who's going to go out there and score 25-plus points just because these guys are out. He's going to still need help to get those dunks and those oops and those layups. So yes, Lonzo Ball can certainly set those up. Hunter can certainly set those up, but he's probably a guy I would be worried about ownership wise. Hunter, I think, is awesome in the spot. I think he's going to be a guy who has that 30% usage rate upside. Sam Merrill, I think, is kind of low key at that guy as well. I still wouldn't go overboard on Lonzo's projection. They've been very loud about keeping him limited, even in a scenario like this. So 26 minutes is where we project him. I'd be pretty surprised if he plays any more than that. And if he doesn't play, you got Craig Porter Jr. here, who I think is probably the best value play on Cleveland. 22, 23 minutes is probably where you project him. Let me see where we finished up with him at. Yeah, we have him at 24 minutes. So yeah, 24-minute projection. He looks really good there. He's probably my favorite non-DeAndre Hunter or Sam Merrill Cleveland player. And if you're not playing Lonzo Ball or Sam Merrill, I think Craig Porter should be a guy that you look at probably first. But yeah, I might even go as far to say Craig Porter might be my favorite play from Cleveland here.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to do with him. I think he's probably wouldn't play him with Ball. I don't think I would do that. You can, I guess. And I guess they would play. Is that what we chop in the 48 minutes? Like, is it 27, 21, something like that?
I think that there could be some overlap, but not much. We have them combining for 50 minutes. So I think there's probably going to be at least some chance to be overlap, but I don't think it's guaranteed. I think we could easily see 26, 22 for Porter and Ball. But I think Porter could easily get there in 22 minutes. He's a really good permanent guy and only 3,200.
Well, you mentioned Jared Allen. He barely played like the second half last game. Like he played a minute or so of the fourth quarter, did not play overtime. He played his first run in the third quarter. Also, Khalil Ware on the other side. Coach Spo said that was basically the best game he's ever played for Miami. And we've seen him playing off the court a lot. But you typically need, his kind of size against guys like Allen and Mobley, especially without Bam. And we'll talk about the Heat here in a second. And, Jovic steps up, Jaime Jaquez steps up. Miami, their bench, sixth man of the year. There you go. Is Jaime Jaquez the leader for sixth man of the year right now? Probably. I think he is. He's just been absolutely incredible. It's still super early. We're like 10 games in.
He's kind of the betting favorite.
Is he?
Yep. Plus 600, I think. Plus 400.
Interesting. Yeah. Is there still meat in that bone? I'm not really sure. 4-1. But Jaquez can go very hot cold. Like he had a very, very bad year last year. He was pretty good his rookie season, and he was an old rookie too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think he was like 22, 23, something like that as a rookie. I guess he played 4 years in college, right?
At least.
The Porter thing as your favorite play on Cleveland is interesting. I had and I had him actually as my sneaky, cheap tournament guy. If you're looking for, because I think he's a pivot away from Ball. I think Merrill is my favorite on Cleveland, and he's going to fire away. What was the number? How many 3-pointers did he take yesterday? He took 16 3-pointers yesterday. No, Monday. It wasn't yesterday. Monday. But still. And Miami, I think, has given up the most 3-point attempts to opponents this season, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I do like players. He was 4 for 16. He'll be firing away. He should play 30-plus minutes as well, and the price is just not perfectly adjusted. But Porter's another guy who could theoretically make a bunch of threes as well. Would he mop if this game is out of hand? Does he mop?
Probably. Tyrese Proctor probably run the point, so I don't think it's necessarily a lock that Porter would close the game out even in a blowout, because they do have Proctor there, who I'm sure they're trying to develop.
Yeah.
So he might be the guy to get some minutes, but he certainly has a better chance than some of these other spend up options. And the one thing I'll say about Porter and why I kind of like him more than a guy like Sam Merrill, other than price and ownership. I mean, the main reason is price and ownership. That's the pivots there. But
Yeah,
if Porter doesn't go out there and score 15 real points, he can still get it done. He can fill up the stat sheet elsewhere. DeAndre Hunter might grab some rebounds. Sam Merrill, he needs points. That's really the only way he's going to really rack him up, and he certainly can do that because he's going to shoot. But Porter, I think, has a little bit more, a few more outs to get there, and again, ownership and price, but mainly the ownership play here. Half the ownership compared to Hunter and Merrill in some contests.
That's a good point. And I typically like the player that has more outs. The player that can get there while scoring 9 points is always, that's not what you're rooting for, but just to know that that's an option.
Yep.
Okay. Again, another great game. Did you talk about Miami as far as your favorite players in the Heat?
I didn't, but there's not a ton that I like here. I think the Hawkes call that you made is nice. He's the perfect, I guess, mold for spending up a little bit to pay a premium for a guy with a ceiling. I mean, he's got real. Yeah, I mean, you're paying a premium for it, but like salary doesn't matter on this slate. Like you can just say, okay, I'm going to play Hawkes over DeAndre Hunter for 800 more as the pivot, and yeah, Hunter's the guy that projects much better. But would we be surprised if Hawkes outscores Hunter by 10 points? No, not even a little. So that's like the perfect game theory play right there with all the salary that's opened up here. Hawkes, he has double upside. I don't even know if you can call it upside. Like he could easily have a floor game and get a double with the rebound chances he's had with Bam sideline. So yeah, Hawkes is definitely my favorite Miami Heat player here.
Also note that Powell saw a big minutes jump. Not a big minutes jump, but like they kind of babied him a little bit. 28-30, 27-30. He played 39 last game, 5 in the overtime, so 34 still. So he did see a boost in minutes.
Yep.
Okay. Let's move along. It's the Grizz. What do you got?
We did get news. Sexton and Kalkbrenner are in, so we're good there.
Kalkbrenner really dedicated.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, look, I've never had a child before, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing this show.
I think it's a little different. They're cutting him a pretty big check. I don't know. Maybe you got a multi-million-dollar deal here that I'm not aware of, but he doesn't want to miss that game check. He's a rookie. That's going to be.
They don't take his game check away, do they? If he misses the game, they don't take the check away.
They might. I don't know. I don't know the specifics. I'm guessing probably not, but
that's something that's like something the Oakland A's would do. But I don't know if most organizations would do that.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really surprised. I just saw that note. I'm really surprised he's actually playing, and Sexton playing as well. KJ Simpson also available for what it's worth, but that doesn't really matter so much when Sexton is in. Okay. Back to Boston. Boston taking on Memphis, 229.5 is the total. Boston is a 7-point favorite. I believe both these teams, right? Yeah, both these teams played last night. The Grizz, Zach Edey upgraded to doubtful. So soon we'll see. We'll get a Zach Edey appearance. John Morant's questionable on the back end of a back-to-back with an ankle. As far as Boston, nothing new. Hugo Gonzalez available, but that's, otherwise nothing has changed. We did see Josh Minot get booted out of the lineup there in the second half. We've been talking about this one throughout the weeks, how fragile Boston bigs have been, Minot being one of them. I think it was Jordan Walsh took over that spot, if I'm not mistaken. But really, Boston, it's about, the big three, their version of the big three these days, Pritchard, White, Brown, Kata, I suppose, in the mix to some degree. But to me, I don't really like this game. Again, there's some games that just it's pretty cut and dry. The appealing games and not so appealing games. If you're running 150 lineup, sure. I'm not going to besmirch playing some White, some Brown, some Pritchard. Yeah, why not? But I have no priorities in this game. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is more of a game that I think there's some interesting prop angles, like you mentioned with Minot and Jordan Walsh. I've been trying to bump up Jordan Walsh in the minutes projections the past few games. I usually get vetoed, But hey, maybe with him starting the second half last game, I mean, he's looked really good, and he hit that big 3-pointer. I think it was 2 games ago. He's been good. I mean, he's the guy who I liked back at Arkansas. He just hasn't really gotten any minutes, and I think this is a good year for him to maybe get some minutes. So, yeah, Jordan Walsh is the guy that I think I'd be looking in the prop markets. But for DFS, not seeing too much I like on the Boston side. And then on the Memphis side, pretty similar deal. You mentioned Zach Edey. Excited to get him back in the league that we're in, the fantasy league. I need him to replace my Walker Kessler void, so hopefully he comes back soon. But for tonight, not a whole lot. I think maybe Triple J and John Morant fit the bill of guys that you're overpaying for a bit just to get a little bit contrarian. But I don't know if the ceiling's necessarily there. Even though Boston's pretty brutal from a comparison standpoint where they were last year, their defense has still been really good. They're still a above average defense. So probably not a ton of love here for either side in this game.
The chat is asking if I'm using highlights in my hair. I just noticed that. No. I don't know why I put some water in my hair. That's it. I don't. There's no performance enhancers or anything of the sorts. It's all.
Yeah, I've learned the chat loves to talk about hair, especially Eric Johnson. They love their hair talk.
They're all jealous of your hair. You have spectacular hair. So.
Oh, thank you.
It's just envy. Take anything as a compliment. Speaking of chat, to be officially say hello, hit that like button and subscribe. Turn on those notifications. When we go live as well. Next game up, it is the Wizards at Houston. Biggest scheduled blowout on the board. 236.5 is the total. The Rockets are the biggest team total, 126.5. I'm a little conflicted with this one, Kyle. I'm a little conflicted. I kind of teased it earlier. The Rockets look amazing here, of course. Well, let's just get the body parts out of the way. If there's anything significant, not really. DFS still out for Houston. Of course, Freddie VanVleet done for, I think, the season. I assume the season. Still no Koulibaly for Washington. Nothing else changing there. I just love what a fantasy sieve the Wizards are. I'll just kind of run down. I wrote this in my blurb today. So the Wizards this season, they play at the third fastest pace, second worst defensive rating. They've allowed the third most assists, second most points in the paint. So that, to me, all adds up to Şengün. I think it's an incredible Şengün spot. You really can't predict the triple-double for Şengün. I think he was like 7-1 or so. If he doesn't get the triple-double, Amen Thompson's getting a triple-double. Somebody's getting a triple-double on Houston. Durant projects really well. If you want to tell the blowout story, I think you can bring Reed Sheppard into the conversation. I don't know how much we need him tonight, but I think he's an interesting dart. I'm okay with Jabari Smith. I love the Rockets. It's just a matter of, do they smash too hard? Can Washington punch back? Because they're 17-point dogs. How do you feel with this game?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Reed Sheppard. I wish the slate dynamics were a little bit different because you don't need to play him. There are value guys that are going to get more minutes, but there are also a lot of value guys that you don't really know what their role is going to be. If Reed Sheppard's out there in the fourth quarter with all these guys benched, he's shooting the ball, and maybe nobody else is. And that's an intriguing aspect there. And you can also say if the game doesn't blow out, he's probably still going to play 20-plus minutes, maybe 21 to 23 or 24 would be like that range for him in a non-blowout. And then you're talking 26, 27, 28 minutes in a blowout against Washington. And at that point, it would be the back end of a Washington team that's already pretty much a G League team. So I do like Reed Sheppard, even though I would probably like him more if the slate was a little bit different. I do agree on Şengün. You could easily make a case for saying, all right, I can spend up a little bit on Şengün. He can go off in 3 quarters, or maybe you're overpaying a little bit if you were to miss out on a few minutes due to the blowout. But Şengün I love quite a bit. I gave out over points and rebounds last night when it was at 31.5. I saw that number and I chuckled to myself. I mean, he could get 30 rebounds here against this Washington team. Obviously exaggerating, but this Washington team is so bad. And then on the other side, you can't convince me to play anybody on Washington. They had one good fantasy player, and they ruined him because they don't give him any more minutes. Keyshawn George has been awesome this year when he's on the floor, but he got a little bit banged up, and now they've been super careful about his minutes, so you can't really play anybody. They're running like 12 to 13-man rotations. It's been bad. So nobody on the other side for me.
Sarr is a good fantasy player, no?
Yeah, but he just doesn't get minutes. Like he's never going to play 30-plus minutes, especially in blowouts. Like we have him projected for like 29 or 30 tonight. And then you bring into the equation where if they're down 20 in the third quarter, he's playing 26 minutes. Is he going to get to a point where you're wanting to play him in 26 minutes? I would much rather play Jaime Jaquez at the same price. So yeah, I think they have some good fantasy players. I think Trey Johnson is also a good player, but they just don't get any minutes because they're just running such a deep rotation, and they get blown out every game. So it's been brutal.
I'm not playing Sarr tonight officially. I think in general, I think he's taken a nice little step so far this year. The only one I would mention, and the chat also mentioned it too, the revenge. We've seen the spike in minutes for Whitmore, 29. And again, I would make the same argument you're making against myself. Slate dynamics. We don't need him. We don't need Cam Whitmore. If we needed value, he'd be a really interesting dart. Somebody they might let do a little bit more, stick around the entire game. If the game gets ugly, he might close. He did close last game, like for real, in a game that mattered against Detroit.
Yeah,
I think that was an absence of Middleton because he can only play Middleton so many minutes, and the game went overtime.
And he was playing really well. He absolutely dunked on Cade. He blocked Cade. That hurt him. But yeah, he was playing really well, so he got a few extra minutes and played in overtime.
Yeah. So if I'm running 150, how many lineups do you make? Are you like me? You make like just a few, or do you make 150, or you're somewhere in the middle? Depends on the night.
Depends on the night. I think tonight, considering I'm on show and working on projections a little bit, I'm only doing 3 lineups. But yeah, some nights I'll do 150.
So if you're making 3 lineups, it's like basically no chance Cam Whitmore makes your lineups.
Yeah, no shot.
Yeah, but if you're making 150, would he make the pool? Would he be able to dip his feet in? Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having 1 or 2% of Cam Whitmore. I think he's a fairly similar argument to Reed Shepherd minus the floor of minutes. Like Reed Shepherd, you feel pretty good about 20 plus minutes. Cam Whitmore could go out there and play 14 minutes, and they could easily say, "Oh, we don't care about your revenge." But a little bit more range of outcomes. But he is cheaper, does have a ceiling still. So yeah, maybe 1 or 2% in 150.
Warriors, Spurs, 232.5 is a total. Spurs are 3.5 point favorites. The Warriors are sputtering. They're on the back half of a back-to-back. I think we got an update for them not too long ago, right? And I thought we might get something. Steph played through an illness. They said he was cleared from the illness on Tuesday, or was it Monday? And he played terrible yesterday. Kuminga officially questionable with a knee. Milton he's out with his ACL, of course. Post is probable with an Achilles tendon. As far as the Spurs, Harper's still out, and that's the only thing of note. We said we have salary to spend if we want to spend. If we want to spend all the way up to somebody like Victor Wembanyama, he's a lot of fun to roster. He's not a lot of fun when you're sweating against him. I was sweating against him the other day, and that is not a fun sweat when you don't have Wemby and he's out there doing Wemby things. And the blocks he gets, it's like he's playing with children sometimes. It's so insane. Like pinning it against the glass. It's like, how did you think you're going to fool Wemby on that? Like, it's insane, the stuff he does. But, he's kind of a cheat code. Yeah, Castle's been really good, at least from an assist perspective of late, too. I think double-digit assists in, I want to say, his last 3 games, despite Fox coming back. I don't like anybody on the Warriors. Nobody in the Warriors. Sure, of course, I'm happy to play Wemby. Am I starting there? I don't think so. I don't think I'm starting anywhere in this game. How about yourself?
Yes, starting in the game, probably not. But I do certainly think, Wemby's a top projected player on a slate where you have all the value in the world. So, I'm not going to be surprised to get to Wemby and, 1 or 2 of these lineups of the 3 that I built. I do think that for me, I haven't really finalized any lineups yet, but the ones that I were building so far, it was more balanced builds. So Wemby wasn't necessarily a priority. I do think it's a tough matchup for him, but he's done pretty well in this matchup so far. He's played the Warriors 4 times, dating back to his debut, averaging 26.5 points, 9.8 rebounds, 5 assists. So I mean, Draymond's usually good at disrupting some of these guys, especially, these really elite bigs, but Wemby's handled it just fine. And this year he looks like a different animal with that 3-point shot that he's been developing. He's taking 9+ threes in each of the back-to-back games. This guy's going to start hitting 4 or 5 threes a game. You're not going to stop him. He's unreal. So spending up on a slate where you have unlimited salary, it seems, I think is more than fine with Wemby. And I agree on Golden State. I actually bet the Spurs last night at -4.5 because I thought that we would see maybe both of these guys out with Steph and Draymond, and I wasn't even sure that Butler would also play, but
Yeah.
I think with last night, them only playing 20 minutes because they got absolutely housed by the Thunder. All these guys are good to go. So that's unfortunate for my bet slip, but for this game, it should be more competitive. Always exciting to see Steph and Wemby play each other. But yeah, I'm not going to get to any Warriors here.
Do want to mention shot quality. You've been talking about them throughout the week. If you're playing NBA DFS, still relying on just box scores, you're behind. Shot quality, they give you the most predictive data in basketball, breaking down every shot to show what should have gone in, not just what actually did go in. Right now, you can grab a free 3-day trial by heading to the link in the show description. Check out the description there on the YouTube. And after that, it renews at $39.99. And do not play blind, play smarter with shot quality. Should also mention Combo Pro. We have a Combo Pro deal for the people. For a limited time, you get your first month of Combo Pro for $79.99, which, if you're playing the NFL streets, that's just $5 more than NFL a la carte. What does Combo Pro give you? It gives you not just football, but college football, baseball, basketball, hockey, NBA, PGA, WNBA. I know some of those are not in season. UFC, LOL. I'm sure I missed something. The optimizer, the bells, the whistles, the articles, the rankings, the tags, SimLabs, all the things you can think of. Too many things to mention. Do get yourself some Combo Pro. Again, the link for that also in the description. We're probably going to talk about some of this FanDuel slate if we don't get to all of it. Crunch Time's going to cover it. We have TastefulTides, Tim Buell coming in about 20 minutes. Noto's jumping in as well as Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth holding it down, but we have a pretty good pace here. We're going to knock out this DK slate pretty swiftly.
While we're on the shot clock or shot quality convo, can I throw out that currently we've been doing a prop model-esque account on Scores and Odds for shot quality because we have a model using the shot quality data. 11-2 on the year so far, and we do have a bet on the shot quality account tonight. So maybe if we hit a certain amount of likes, I'll give that out.
It's I did see that pop up in Scores and Odds. Like we have a prop model for other sports as well. Yeah. But I did see it for basketball specific. It said, it said the shot quality. And okay, I didn't realize it's 11-2 to start off. That's a pretty impressive number. And I talked about this the other day. If you do get the shot quality, it's super, super simple to integrate it on Lineup HQ. It's just a click away. You have your RGNBA projections, and then just click down and you get the shot quality projections as well. All right. What's the number we're asking for? I see Steve is asking for 100 likes. That's not asking for too much. 100 likes, I guess that we're only halfway there, which is a little disappointing, but I guess that means that the path is clear for 50 more likes. We'll give the people tonight's potential winner on SAO. The next game up is, let's see. Portland and New Orleans. 233 is the total. New Orleans, they stink. They're 8-point dogs here at home versus the Blazers. Blazers playing super fast this year as well. I think they're second in pace last I checked. Let me confirm that. Yeah, they're just right behind Miami, right in front of Washington. Injury-wise, Scoot Henderson is out with his hamstring. Thibault's still out. Dame Lillard, I guess, not playing a game this year. I don't think he is, right? I think that's the plan. Maybe back next season. As far as New Orleans, speaking of, DeJounte Murray still on that list. No Zion. Zion's got that hamstring. Poole has got a quad, so he's out. Otherwise, we're good to go. This is the tricky game for me, Kyle. I don't know if I'm going to get to much Portland, and I'm a little bit nervous about it because I can see Denny Avdia absolutely wreck these Pelicans who, play terrible defense. Drew Holiday, he's not like most improved player, but like he's like best player that's like 35 or older that we didn't really see coming. At least I didn't see it. He's been awesome to start the season. How do you feel with the Blazers and the Pelicans?
Yeah, it's probably Denny or bust for me. I think, Holiday has looked good, but there's so many guys in that range, and he'll probably have lower ownership because of that. But for me, Denny, I like quite a bit. I think 8-7 is maybe one of the spots where he's a little bit more expensive, but with all the value out there, he's so easy to get to still. So I like him quite a bit in this matchup. He should have no problem with. The Pelicans defense is bad. I have them ranked as the 29th defense in the NBA so far. They are playing fairly slow, but with how bad they are, Portland should have no issue getting stuff done. So it's probably Denny or bust for me. And then on the other side, probably not getting to a whole lot of the Pelicans. I do have Sadiq Bey projecting fairly well if he's going to play 29, 30 minutes and start again. We could see some interesting starting lineup shuffles for the Pelicans because I think that's something that they could do any night with all these different bigs. Missy was available last game but didn't play. That's probably not going to be the case for the entire year. Like he's probably going to get back in the rotation, so we'll see how that affects things if he starts again or if Looney continues to start, etc. But nonetheless, probably nothing I'm getting to on the Pelican side. Jeremiah Fears is the guy who I think has some upside, but again, I think he's a scorer first and only pretty much. So he probably needs to score 25 real points to really feel good about this on this slate. So probably not getting to much on the Pelicans here. I think we got you muted.
Oh, sorry. What is your read on Queen about 10 games into his NBA career? And also the minutes have been boosted up of late, at least 25 in the last 3 for what it's worth. I don't know if it's a Queen slate just because, again, there's so much value out there and you probably can't project 30 minutes out of him. But do you have like any sort of takeaways on the Fears and Queen, 2 young pieces getting some run here for New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, I think Queen has looked good. I think he is one of those guys who looks like he can fill up the stat sheet. We've seen, I think, a 7 assist game on the books for him already. So, like, yeah, he looks good. I think there is some volatility there because they have Looney that they're giving minutes to. They have Missy that they're getting minutes to. That he didn't play last game, so I think that maybe adds some volatility to the bigs rotation here. But if Missy hits the rotation again, it's probably going to affect guys like Matkovich and Peavy more than Queen. So for me, I probably don't get there on Queen today, but he does look pretty good to me. He's over a 1 DraftKings point per minute player. 1.1 is where I have him. Fears just under 1. So both those guys do look good. Just probably not for this slate.
I think he's played the entire fourth quarter, like 4 or 5 games in a row or something like that. You have to you're waiting, like, where are those minutes? And he plays the last 12, and I don't know if you can always rely on it, but I guess that's the plan so far. I don't know. It's just interesting. I do agree. The Messi thing, he was cleared to play. I think it was an illness. Yeah, and if he does work his way back in, it's not going to be taken away from the young guy. Well, I think Matkovich's kind of young too, but he's obviously not the prospect that Queen is. Question in chat. This is the most important question. Sean says, thoughts on chicken teriyaki stacked with white rice and veggies. Is that too chalky for you?
No, that sounds pretty good. I might have to get that tonight now. That sounds good.
It's good floor, if nothing else, right? Chicken teriyaki, white rice, and veggies. Yeah, there you go. You'll min cash with that, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay. Blazers, Pelicans down, Suns, Mavericks, 227.5. That is the total. The Mavericks are 1-point dogs here. We did not get to see the Anthony Davis revenge game since the firing of the GM. Davis officially ruled out, right? He's out. I'm seeing question mark. Do I have to refresh my?
He's out, and it sounds like he might not ever play for the Mavericks again. We just got a report from Stein. They'll work together to decide whether to pursue a trade between now and the deadline.
Trade him back to the Lakers.
Yeah. The Nico Harrison look keeps getting worse and worse.
Okay. Well, I saw something talking about like they're not going to play him until he's like fully healthy, or until they can guarantee he can never get hurt again, basically. Which is like, I don't know how you guarantee that, but
to me that sounded like a cover up. They were doing that to. I kind of felt like this was coming, just because that the president of a team, not even like the GM or the coach requesting medical data, just sounded fishy from the beginning. So I kind of felt like that might be some underlying drama here. So anybody who is trying to defend Nico Harrison for this Luka trade, front and center, reprimand them now. It's
a tough scene. He'll never get hired again, right? In the NBA, like that's it. It's impossible. You can't sell that to your franchise. You can't hire this guy. He might just be like a smart guy. I don't know, but the
thing is, he can't even defend it because the way he handled it in the media afterwards was atrocious.
Stubborn.
So yeah, like if he maybe was shown some sort of positive movement after the trade, maybe he could still have a job. Obviously, he'll never be a GM again, but at least get something in the NBA. I would be very surprised if he ever works around basketball again, at least the NBA.
Yeah. Okay. As far as the other players in this game, who's in and who's out, when it comes to so I did refresh. Is this the 5:30 injury report? I thought I did see the note that he was out, so that's what's throwing me off there. Officially he's still questionable with the 5:30 injury report, according to Dallas. Like that's not, these teams lie. I'm sure you're on the projections team. You see the teams that lie all the time.
Yeah.
That's not true. Cooper Flag officially available with his thumb. Derek Lively officially questionable with his knee. I thought he was out too. Am I making this tight? Did I not see that he was out also?
Doubtful for Lively.
Okay, like whatever. Doesn't matter.
Or at least that's where we have him classified. Sometimes we are a little bit more aggressive than the actual injury report on questionable versus doubtful and probable. But yeah, we have him as doubtful out of the projections.
But if you're making the call, it's generally for good reason. You lean in unless otherwise, unless there's something, it's glaring that's almost he's not going to play, right? Typically, you're conservative about it, like as far as if they say questionable. We're currently projecting Cunningham in, even though I don't think he's playing.
Yeah, it takes a pretty it takes some sort of report or some sort of lean to get to doubtful, because normally if they're questionable, we project them in. And then we just have the what ifs, but we got a report from some Dallas beat writer, not remember the name, at like 4:30, saying that he does not expect Lively to play, or it might have even been the Phoenix guy. So yeah, we removed him at that point.
Green not playing for a while for Phoenix, re-injured his that was his hamstring, I believe. Yeah, that was a tough scene for sure. We saw Grayson Allen get loose for, I think he made 10 threes last game, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to Grayson Allen. Talk to me about the Suns and the Mavs. This is the hammer game on DraftKings.
Yeah. I mean, for me, there's not a ton of love I'm getting to on the Phoenix side. Obviously, Grayson Allen coming off of that game. When I saw that he scored 42 points, I was like, oh, wow, that's a really good game. And then I saw he did it in like 25 minutes. And I was like, what the hell was Grayson Allen on that night? I guarantee you he got back to his locker with a note from the league saying, please pee in this cup. Because that was an insane game. But nonetheless, not a ton of interest on the Phoenix side for me. It is a good matchup. Dallas, they've been okay at times defensively, but when you remove obviously taking Anthony Davis out of the equation, there's just not a lot working for them here. And they play very slow. So I'm not too excited about the spot for Phoenix. On the other side, Dallas going to have to see the starters. If Brandon Williams is starting again, he's going to project pretty well. A lot of really good guards on this slate. So I'm not necessarily saying he's like you slam him in, but I do think he would project quite well. And then PJ Washington, I still think is fine at 7K. I would still prefer a guy like Jaime Jaquez, although you are expecting fewer minutes for him. I think he's just a little bit more explosive and dynamic from a ceiling perspective. So I'll probably give him the slight edge, but both I think are good plays. But for me, it's mainly just Brandon Williams in this game for me.
He's kind of iced D'Angelo Russell. It feels like he's kind of passed them by. There's been some games where they kind of bounce back and forth and ping pong, as far as who closes. But Russell's another guy who's just like, ugh. Does he help you win in any way? D'Angelo Russell, is he a winning player on your team? It's really not somebody you want to rely on. I guess he has his moments, he has spurts, but I don't know. It might be over for him. That is it for DK. Let's touch on the FanDuel slate again. There's 3 more games. Lakers, OKC, 228.5 is the total. Lakers are 8.5 point dogs here. More superstars on the FanDuel slate. Now you can get to some Luka if you want to get some Luka. You get some SGA if you want that. I believe this is the back half for OKC. This is an island game for the Lakers. LeBron is still out. I did see a note that I think he's practicing with the G League, so maybe soon we'll see him. Who knows? Gabe Vincent, of course, still out. No Lugans-Dort, no Dortcher Chamber, which I think matters to some degree as far as defending against Luka. Wiggins still out. The good Jalen Williams still out. Thoughts on the Thunder and the Lakers for the again FanDuel only?
Yeah, LeBron practicing with his son with the G League team there. I'm sure that's the only reason he's doing that. But
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
That has to. When I saw that, I was like, that has to be the only reason why. There's no shot in hell they're going to have LeBron James doing rehab practices with I mean, maybe because he hasn't played yet this year. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I thought that was funny when I read that report.
Is Bronny in the G League?
I think he's on a two-way still, so I'm sure he practices with them at times. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm not fully sure there. But that's the joke that came to my head when I first saw that news. Don't even know how true it is. But for the Lakers, tough matchup here. OKC, I mean, they do play fast. They're the fastest team in the NBA possession-wise, but so good defensively, even without Jalen Williams, Jalen with an E, Williams. They're still so good defensively. So, even last night, they're just so capable of shutting anybody down. They absolutely stuffed Steph Curry in a locker last night. Luka probably going to have his way because he's just that good. So you can make a case for him, but he's really expensive. I think I prefer, obviously if you're playing on sites with the full slate, I think I still maybe prefer Wemby. It's maybe close, but nonetheless, I think Luka is going to get his, but I don't know if he projects super well on this slate because it is a very difficult matchup. On the other side, SGA projects pretty well for me. Hartenstein, I liked him more last night when I was pretty sure Chet was going to sit. We haven't seen him play a back-to-back yet this year, but Chet looks like he's going to go. So don't like Hartenstein as much. And then AJ Mitchell has been playing really well, but the price is up. Not sure if there's much left there for me there at that price. But if you wanted to make on one of the smaller slates, maybe you can make a case for him there as a contrarian option.
Atlanta versus the Kings. Atlanta is on the front end. The Kings are on the back end. Denver beat them last night. Zach LaVine, a midday downgrade for Sacramento. He's not playing basketball tonight. Sabonis is also dealing with a rib or a rib cage somewhere in the rib area, so he's questionable. Keegan Murray, of course, not playing. Malik Monk, he's got an ankle, so he's questionable too. We could see a rust game. This could be a rust game potentially. Atlanta, nah. Alexander Walker is questionable. Of course, Trae Young still out for the Hawks. Hawks, Kings. I was staring at the Kings lineup last night, and I know they're just a terrible organization. They seem to make bad decisions. Just looking at their spacing, it's like Sabonis, Precious Achiuwa, Dennis Schroeder. Like, how do you expect to win games if you can't shoot threes? I don't know. Denver took care of him last night, but these are the pieces they have. How do you feel with the Hawks and the Kings?
Yeah, you make a really good point. Even Zach LaVine kind of called out the construction of the team. He basically said that they don't have players in right roles right now, and it's not even necessarily about effort. It's just they don't have a well-constructed team. That's a good point. And
Westbrook, by the way, another guy who can't really shoot threes consistently. But continue.
Yeah. Maybe it does suck that they are missing Keegan Murray because it's like his whole thing. But still definitely not a well-constructed team, and we've been making that note about the Kings for a long time now. I don't really have a ton of interest on the Kings. I think that, again, this is still a team that strikes me as we're probably not going to see the same starting lineup over and over again. Precious has started back-to-back games, but they've also played two pretty big teams. Atlanta is not necessarily that big of a team. They're playing Porzingis at the 5. Would not be surprising to see a different starting lineup there, so make sure you're confirming that, especially with LaVine also out. So Westbrook's probably most likely going to start, and then Clifford could start over Precious. So just keep that in mind. Clifford's the guy that I have my eye on the most if he does start. On the other side, NAW is questionable, but sounds to me like he's probably not going to play. We're seeing some movement in the markets on Keaton Wallace. He's getting some bumped up lines on some of these sports books. That's typically a good indicator that we're going to see him sit. So Keaton Wallace would probably start again, and he had a bad game because Vit Krejci came in and absolutely balled out, so he ended up playing like 28 minutes. Krejci probably wouldn't normally project for that kind of run, and Keaton Wallace had a bad game, so that could be a spot where maybe people are looking at box scores, go to Krejci, and then Keaton Wallace is actually the more optimal play. So that's the one thing I would keep in mind. I also do like Jalen Johnson and Porzingis. I think they're both good plays. Sacramento, pretty bad defensively. We did get news that it sounds like Ja is not going to play.
Yeah. So, is there one clear and obvious play on Memphis? I don't think there is. Bumps along the way, I suppose. Did you do this one? I did pull it up on the If Then. I'm not sure if you did it or Jim did it, but we're assuming that Ja is out. Like Santi Aldama, I guess, will project pretty well. But on this slate, does anybody really pop for you?
Yeah, I think Aldama would look pretty good. Triple J, I mean, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he'll have a usage bump. But for me, I mean, if you want more value, Cam Spencer probably going to play 24 to 26 minutes now. Maybe he gets a few more if he plays well. So Cam Spencer hasn't necessarily been like the most elite permanent producer, but I think he's at least in consideration now that he's likely going to start here with Ja out. But I still don't think there's like a real clear slam dunk play. Maybe actually Cedric Coward looks pretty good if he's going to. Let me see where we have him minutes wise now. But yeah, he's been pretty solid from a minutes perspective and a production perspective. So we have him at 30 minutes now. So maybe he's a decent value play, but also not overly cheap at $6K on DraftKings. So I would say maybe Coward and Triple J and Cam Spencer are the guys, and Aldama that get bumps here.
Did we get to the 100 likes? I want to do this before we lose Kyle, we lose myself before we bring in crunch time. We were going to give away the S&O play of the night according to shot quality. Where are we at? Only 78. That's terribly disappointing. Crunch time is here. Did you have a thought as far? We have money to spend. Be efficient here. Denver Clippers. We saw Bradley Beal out for the season there for the Clippers. Kawhi, of course, is still out. Denver's playing the back half of a back-to-back. Joker is still playing out of his mind. Certainly, if you have the funds for it, I mean, and you do, he should be in your pool, I suppose. But do you have any thoughts as far as LA and Denver? I know Harden projects really well because his role is going to be massive here.
Yeah, I haven't looked at like the small slates too much, but if there's a spot where maybe you're looking for a value option, Joval at 3,200, he's always the guy who can get it done on a permanent basis. He projects really well for me. It is a pretty small sample with some of his permanent production on the Denver team with him, joining the team this year. But he's the guy that popped for me a little bit. So figure out throw his name out there on the very small slates. But again, I haven't looked too much at the slate dynamics of that night slate. John Collins expected to start. I would assume he's going to continue to see more minutes because they made a whole thing about him being acclimated to the starting lineup. He only played 31 minutes as a starter last game. I would expect that to continue to ramp up, especially in a game with a pretty tight spread here. So if we see John Collins 32, 33 minutes tonight, I think he would project pretty well at 5,300 in that night slate on DraftKings. And then, you mentioned Harden coming off that big triple-double. He's going to do a lot tonight for the Clippers. But him and Collins, probably my two favorite Clippers players. I mean, Clippers, that they need some kind of spark because that franchise is spiraling right now.
Cade and Duran really not warming up again. Like all the tea leaves are suggesting they're not going to play. We'll see. We'll get the confirmation probably in the next 10, 15 minutes or so.
We just got they are confirmed out by Chicago beat writer. So gonna read that now.
Yeah, I mean that was, we kind of knew this all along, but good to get the confirmation. Give me the play that's going to break the slate before we bring in crunch time. Who is your slate breaker? I got Şengün. If not Şengün, I'm Thompson. One of those guys is going to get a triple-double. I can't tell you which one. One of those guys. Maybe both.
Now, does it have to be like by slate breaker? Are we talking a guy to go out there and score like 60, 70 DK points? Or can I throw out Craig Porter Jr.? Because that's my guy tonight. Yeah, I mean, if he puts up 35 or so, that can break the slate. All right. Put it in the bag then. I'm going Craig Porter Jr. 35 plus DK tonight.
All right. I forced you into 35. I didn't mean this force into 35.
I like it.
30 is usable. Is 30 usable on the slate with all the
that would be almost 10x for him. It'd be pretty close. I think it'd be like 8 or 9x. Yeah. So I think you take that all day.
All right. I mean, just the only counterpoint is there's opportunity costs along. We talk about a lot of good players, but yeah, sure.
But he also is leverage off of some other Cleveland chalk. So if he does well and other Cleveland guys don't, even better.
All right, let's do it. Let's see if we see transition. It's crunch time. It's Roth. We have Tasteful Tides. We got Noto. Crunch time right now. Roth, I don't know how much you've been listening, but this is a Roth slate. This is if you want to get stars and scrubs, there's a lot of scrubs. There's a lot of stars. So you're gonna have a fun night. I think we'll see.
Yeah, I've got Şengün and 3 random dudes, and I still have 4 spots left, 7K a spot, and I'm like, yeah, baby, like it's gonna be a good night.
I know you like to play Whitmore Revenge. Is he one of those random dudes?
I didn't even know he was on the slate and an option, but he smashed the last time I played him. I think he had over 30 DraftKings points, and he's probably going to do it again. So I'll have to look at the price, and yeah, I'm probably in.
Do we have a dog rummaging somewhere? Is that what's going on? Is there a dog rummaging? Does anybody hear shenanigans going on?
I got
two dogs over there. Maybe they're making noise.
I'm sure there's someone down in just a second, but yeah, producer Steve was mentioning it as well. But they're coming in hot. They're having a good time over there. But yeah, I think that's it. Kyle, appreciate it. That was fun first show of the year for you. I'm sure we'll see plenty of you as the season progresses. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. Later on, 8 o'clock tonight, I'll be doing the Pick 6 show with Daigle and Rebar, talking some football and Frankenstein. We're talking Frankenstein as well. But hey, you got 40 plus minutes of crunch time with Roth starting right now.
Right now, indeed. Good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time with two of the sharpest minds in the industry. That does include TastefulTides. The ladies say he looks like Jude Law, and I agree. What's up, man? How are you?
Yeah, doing well. We finally got some news that we've been waiting for pretty much all day. Finally got that Detroit news. I was worried that we're going to start the show without that, and that would have made things pretty difficult. But now that we've got that, it makes things pretty easy. So,
well, let's dive right into that right off the bat before we even say what's up to Noto. Kate is out and somebody else, right?
Yeah, I know that Kate is out. I have not seen, is Darren out as well, Noto? I haven't seen that officially.
I'm seeing doubtful and most likely out, yeah.
Yeah, I know that we removed Darren from the projection, so we're assuming that he's out. We know that Kate is out. Gigantic piece of news, really changes everything about projections, changes the slate. You're gonna have to rerun Sims if you have our Sims. So definitely, big stuff there. So no Cade, assuming no Duran. Dennis Jenkins becomes like an absolute, like, I think must-have play now. Really cheap on both the sites. Paul Reed again, another really, like, they're kind of like the free square plays, I guess I'd say. Like, definitely makes this like a Kevin Roth slate. They're kind of like the freebies. So I would be playing into those guys really, really heavily tonight. Ronald Holland is a really strong play, despite the fact that he busted. Karis LeVert, a really strong play as well. So you're going to be getting to, I would be making a rule in lineup HQ that I'd be getting to at least a minimum 2 of Detroit. Probably max it at 4. But you're gonna be getting a ton of these guys.
Yeah. Okay. Noto, hello. Welcome to the show. And anything you want to add on the Detroit before we kind of dive into the whole slate?
Yeah, I'm looking for that withdrawal all button. These slates are just wild. Flipped completely on its head. So, yeah, Detroit, they're without what? They're 5 starters. No Ivy, Cunningham, Thompson, Stewart, and now Duran. So, yeah, that's kind of fun. And then we do have some superstars on the slate, but yeah, Giannis is out, LaMelo's out, a couple other guys are out. So it's going to be an interesting slate for sure. I'm already getting questions about how many Detroit players are too many. There is no such thing in my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Guys, I think we can kind of just launch right into it here, starting on FanDuel, work our way through, go to DraftKings, and then, of course, save some time for some questions in the end. I'm very intrigued and almost confused with Detroit. I feel like there's 4 or 5 guys we can play, but I don't know. I don't know. I need a little more guidance and help there. But Noto, let's start at point guard on FanDuel. What are you doing?
So yeah, originally I thought we could have Lonzo Ball as a pretty good value play with Garland and Mitchell out and Mobley out, but yeah, now Dennis Jenkins I think is the preferred target, especially if he ends up being the starter, which I do think will be the case. He's at 4,100. Good play there. I do like Ryan Rollins with Giannis out. He sees a 5% usage boost with Giannis off the floor so far this season. Good matchup against Charlotte. They're bottom 5 in pretty much every defensive category that you want to look at. So cash games, I think those 3 are probably the guys you want to look at. Tournaments too, I want to play some Jenkins. And then large field stuff, I think James Harden's viable at home against Denver with no Kawhi, no Bradley Beal. I like Drew Holiday. He's been playing great for Portland. The per minute numbers are way up. The usage rate's way up. That's a pretty good game environment too. So he's a guy I like to get to. And then don't mind Amen Thompson, 8,100. I know this game has some blowout potential. Washington's been pretty terrible, but if they keep that game within, 10 to 15 points and Thompson gets 35 minutes, he should have a really big game. So I like him in tournaments. And then, with so much value, you could maybe get up to SGA, but I think I'd rather spend up elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, your thoughts at point on FanDuel?
Yeah, so Noto covered it pretty well. Dennis Jenkins at 4,100 on FanDuel. I think he's a 9.4 RG value right now, which if you're not familiar with that metric, that's amazing. So I would definitely be getting to a ton of him. Ryan Rollins, he's point guard, shooting guard, so he's got that multi-position that I like a ton. I was getting to a ton of Drew Holiday before all this news. I have to rerun everything. I imagine he's still going to rate out as a really strong GPP play. Probably not like a cash game play, but Drew Holiday I absolutely love here. Amen Thompson, 8,100. I think getting up to James Harden, I think that's a pretty good idea on the FanDuel slate. Obviously, he's not available on DK, but on FanDuel, 9,200 James Harden, I do like a ton. And I did hear Kyle on the last show talk about Reed Shepherd. Again, the slate's a little bit different now, but you can play him at point guard, shooting guard. I think he's worth a flyer in large field GPPs. So
is there any injury news over there, or it's just like his role has been increasing a little bit and he's still cheap?
Well, I think Kyle made the point that he's going to get his 22, 24 minutes, and then he might be on mop-up duty during a blowout. So he might end up getting extra run in case of a blowout. So I think that's kind of the gamble that you're going to be taking with him. So it's not so much that he's like guaranteed an extra roll. We're just kind of making kind of like a bet on that he might get extra run in a blowout scenario. So I think that's an interesting play.
Gotcha.
Same thing with Craig Porter, 3,800. With all this Dennis Jenkins chalk, I think Craig Porter's projected ownership is going to go down a little bit. So I do think he's pretty interesting. And again, FanDuel specific, Russell Westbrook, I think is pretty interesting at 6,700, a kind of a mid-range play.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to shooting guard, Tim. You mentioned some of these guys have the dual eligibility. But...
Yeah. So Karis LeVert, shooting guard, small forward, 4,300 on FanDuel. I'd be playing him very, very heavily. He's part of this Detroit, super chalky play. Ryan Reynolds, I talked about at point guard, but you can definitely play him at shooting guard as well. Same thing with Harden, same thing with Amen Thompson. So all those guys that I mentioned before, they're still in play at shooting guard. Norman Powell is a name that I'll introduce into the fray here. 6,500, small forward shooting guard. I like him quite a bit. I like that whole game. Again, a lot of ownership is going to get kind of thrown around into some other games here. And I think Norman Powell 6,500 on FanDuel is a very, very strong play. Sam Merrill, 4,300. He's very, very scoring dependent, but he's still really, really cheap. Again, in a game environment that I absolutely love. Miami's playing at the fastest pace in the NBA. So getting to some Cleveland guys, especially some cheap ones, I think is a really good idea today. So Sam Merrill, 4,300. I absolutely love. I'm trying to think if there's any other like big spend ups here that I don't really know. I think that'd really be it. There's so much really good, like such good strong value today. Oh, Con Knipple at 6,200. I do like him. I think he's a pretty good mid-range play.
Okay, very good. Noto, your thoughts at shooting guard, please.
Yeah, Tim covered it well. Like getting up to James Harden on FanDuel, shooting guard. 9,200 is a good price point. We got to spend somewhere, so he's a guy that makes a lot of sense to me. Karis LeVert, good value play. Ryan Rollins, we mentioned him. The only other guy I wanted to bring up, Duncan Robinson. He's kind of going to be the forgotten Detroit guy, I think, just because everyone else screams value, and he's one of those guys that relies on the three-pointer, so he doesn't really create his own shot as much as some of the other guys in Detroit's lineup. I think he could be interesting at 4,300. And then Chris Dunn's been playing a bunch of minutes. We know the Clippers are going to be without Bill and Kawhi. So I don't mind him. But for the most part, I think I'm probably just going to eat a lot of chalk here. I like LeVert, Harden, Rollins the most.
Okay. Small forward, Noto.
Yeah, so once again, you can play Karis LeVert here. I do like DeAndre Hunter quite a bit. With the Cavaliers resting so many guys, they're going to be without, Mitchell, Garland, Strus, and Mobley. So got to think Hunter is going to see an uptick in usage. He's been pretty good recently too, even with all those guys active. He's had at least 36 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. You got more Detroit value plays here with Javonte Green, Ronald Holland. Picking between the two, I'd probably go with Holland, but probably just going to come down to ownership there. So going to lean heavily on our NBA projections team. You can get up to Kevin Durant. He does feel underpriced at 8K. Again, that game has some blowout potential. I'm hoping that'll keep the ownership down a little bit. Andrew Wiggins, he's a nice fantasy point per minute boost without Bam on the floor. Love Denny Avdia. I have him tagged as a core play on both sides right now. He's kind of not that popular. We have him at 13% ownership on FanDuel. Good game environment there against New Orleans. He's a guy that can get you, 60 plus fantasy points. He's been on fire lately. So he's one of my favorite spins on the slate, especially if you're eating a lot of the Detroit chalk for value. I think one way to get difference to play him. And that's pretty much it at small forward.
Okay. Tim, your thoughts there?
Yeah, the first guy, if you're not playing the Detroit stuff, that I was getting to is Kyle Kuzma at 5,200, small forward, power forward. I think he's a really, really strong play. DeAndre Hunter, 6,100. Noto is right. Like eventually, you have to start spending some salary. So I obviously do like Denny Avdia. I also kind of like Kevin Durant. Like if you think that game can somehow stay somewhat close, like Kevin Durant at 8K. I think he's pretty interesting. So I do like him in large field stuff. Miles Bridges as well. He's like another guy that you can get to, small forward, power forward. I do like him in GPP. So it's going to be interesting, like where people like start like actually spending some of the cap because the value is so strong. I think we can get to some of that here, maybe either at center on FanDuel or perhaps at power forward.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to power forward. And my question as we get to the big men is who's getting the 12 to 15 rebounds that Duren was going to get? Like who on that team is going to be the big man tonight that's going to go 15 to 15?
You hope it's going to be Paul Reed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's the hope. And I think that's the guy you should be playing into. But you never really know, I guess, but that's the theory anyway.
Okay. Power forward. What are you doing there? I see this is center only here.
Yeah. So power forward, Bobby Portis on FanDuel is way too cheap at 4,700. I don't think we have him projected to start, but I don't really care. He's still really, really strong value on the FanDuel slate. So I would definitely start a lot of teams with him. Ronald Holland, again, like I know he busted last time, but you can go back to people that bust. Like you can't be scared to click on that again. So, definitely get to some of him. Denny, we already talked about Denny Avdia. We talked about him at small forward. Same thing with Bridges. I guess another like spend up option maybe is like Porzingis or Jalen Johnson. I do kind of like that game, the Atlanta-Sacramento game. So I do kind of like that game in GPPs. So I think Jalen Johnson or Porzingis are pretty decent. And I also think Jaren Jackson might be somewhat interesting too with no jaw tonight, even though Jaren Jackson's been really, really bad. But I think you can take shots on him.
Yeah. Noto, what are you doing at the 4?
Yeah, a lot of good plays here as well. Just ran the optimal on FanDuel right now. And even though Wembanyama doesn't project well in the RG value column, he's hitting the optimal just because we have so many good values. He's one of those guys, man. He can get you 70 or he can get you like 35. So
yeah,
I like him in tournaments, like him in small field tournaments, but I don't know. It doesn't feel great in cash games just given his volatility. But I like Avdia once again. Holland, Jared Allen has been pretty good. I think he's averaged 5 more fantasy points per game with Mobley out of the lineup over the last couple of seasons. DeAndre Hunter, like both the Milwaukee guys and Kuzma and Portis, John Collins, a lot of good plays. I mean, it's so hard to narrow down your player pool tonight, especially on FanDuel with the extra 3 games. So kind of just gonna lock in probably Portis and Wembanyama at power forward, but I don't know. There's so many.
I should have mentioned Wemby. Sorry, Noto. I should have mentioned Wemby just because it's so easy to spend up for him. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, Noto.
No, all good, man.
Okay. Well, let's go to center where, I guess, is it just I'm looking at Reed's ownership. It's hilarious. 62% projected ownership. Is this guy a must play in cash? And how are you handling it in tournaments, Noto?
I mean, yeah, I'm locking him in. He's always been a really good per minute producer. I mean, I think the only path to him failing is foul trouble, which could happen against Vucevic, but not something that, I want to fade. So you could play Portis, but he's power forward eligible. Same with the other guys that I like, Collins. There's not really anybody that I feel great about that's just center eligible on FanDuel. So I think I'm just going to lock in Reed and go from there.
Yeah. Tim, your thoughts at center?
Yeah, I've got no issue if people want to just lock in Paul Reed. If you don't want to do that, I really wanted to play some Alfred Şengün. I probably will just do that on DK now where you can play 2 centers. But if you wanted to get ambitious on FanDuel, I wouldn't mind getting some Şengün. But Paul Reed's going to be a really, really tough fade. And I'm not going to be fading him in single entry. He'd be a 3 out of 3 play and 3 max as well. So, I'd have to be building out like 20 or more to be getting off of Paul Reed.
Damn. Okay. Very good. I do want to kick it over to DraftKings. That util spot on DK with so many good centers and so many good guards is like, it's a struggle bus for me. So I do need some help with that. First, though, I want to let the people know if you're playing NBA DFS, and you probably are if you're hanging out with us right now, but you're still relying on box scores, well, guess what? You're already behind. Shot quality gives you the most predictive data in basketball. Breaks down every shot to show you how good of a quality was the shot, right? It's called shot quality. And right now you can grab a free 3-day trial just by heading to the link in the show description. After that, it renews monthly for $39.99. Don't play blind, play smarter with shot quality. Also, make sure you sign up for Combo Pro. This is the time of year we got a lot of sports going on, right? You want NFL DFS access, no doubt, but you can also get all the other sports for basically the same price, only $5 more than NFL DFS. Your first month of Combo Pro is $79.99, which again, that's only $5 more than an NFL DFS pass. So make sure you're doing that so you can get all the sports instead of just one sport. Tim, let's kick it over to DraftKings and go to point guard.
Yeah, very, very similar here. You're still going to be starting off with Dennis Jenkins at 4,100. I mean, he's going to be doing he's going to be running the point, like we talked about, no Cade tonight. So he's the clear and obvious play. You're going to be pairing him with Ryan Rollins, most likely at 6,100. Those are going to be the two chalkiest pieces, I'm assuming. But if you wanted to spend some more of your salary cap, get a little different tonight. I still really like Drew Holiday, and I currently is projected around 14, and I don't think he's going to be higher than that. I think if anything, he'll be lower than that. So I do like Drew Holiday quite a bit. You can play Karis LeVert at point guard. LeVert is point guard, shooting guard. I probably prefer him in the shooting guard spot, but maybe one way to get different is put him in the point guard spot, and then maybe fade Ryan Rollins, perhaps. I think that's a unique way, maybe in GPPs. De'Aaron Fox at 7,100. I like him in tournaments as well. Amon Thompson at 81. I think he's a pretty strong play. So, yeah, I mean, but most likely you're going to be saving. You're not going to be spending too much of the cap in the point guard spot.
Yeah. Okay. Noto, your thoughts at point on DraftKings?
Yeah, I agree with Tim. Jenkins and Rollins, probably my favorite guys. A couple other guys that are worth the look. Jalen Suggs coming off of a game where he played 28 minutes, season high. Didn't play the front end of the back-to-back either, so we don't have to worry about that. Not the best matchup against the Knicks, but a guy that could maybe get you 35 to 40. Ownership's going to be pretty down on him. And then Craig Porter's only 32 on DraftKings. So if you want to get different, you can play him with all the Cleveland guys out. If you're building a bunch of lineups, Cam Spencer with John Morant could be interesting. Not the best matchup against Boston, but we have him projected for 25 minutes. He's had over 20 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5. Now should probably start too. And then I love the holiday call by Tim. I think he's an excellent play too.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to shooting guard.
Yeah, Detroit guys. I mean, we can say that at every position. I think Javonte Green, Karis LeVert have the highest RG values. You have the Cleveland guys, Sam Merrill. I think he's kind of going to get overlooked now that all the Detroit guys are popping so much. Trey Murphy is one of my favorite tournament plays. He's kind of been quiet most of the season, but last 2 games he's had 43 and 61. They're without Jordan Poole, Zion, DeJounte Murray. So a lot of usage for him in a pace-up spot against Portland. I think you can kind of maybe play him with Drew Holiday in some tournament lineups. Outside of that, I don't know a lot about this Chaz Lanier on Detroit. Maybe Tim knows more than I do, but he's kind of projecting well as a good value too. So that's what I got for shooting guard.
Okay, Tim, Chaz Michaels.
I think he's a really strong GPP play. I'm not going to be getting to him in single entry or 3 max, but I think that's one way to get reasonably unique today. We have projected for 25 minutes. You could just pivot off of one of these Detroit guys to just get a little bit unique here, and maybe some of the minutes break in your favor. I'm not saying it's a safe play, but I don't hate it. Sam Merrill at 4,500, very score independent. We've talked about that, but projecting for 31 minutes. I really like Sam Merrill tonight. Reed Shepherd, I talked about him on FanDuel. We're kind of hoping that maybe he gets some extra run tonight in a blowout. Colin Knippel at 6,600. The guy's just been on fire. So I think we can continue using him in GPPs. I think maybe we could play some Cedric Coward at 6K with no jaw, just again and just in large field stuff. I think he's pretty interesting. But outside of the Detroit guys, Javonte Green and Karis LeVert and maybe Jazz as well. But you got Lonzo Ball in there. So again, another position where it's kind of tough because there's just a lot of really strong value.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to small forward. Tim, what are we doing there?
Yeah, super similar here. Again, it's Kyle Kuzma, 5,200. No Giannis tonight, so he's a fantastic value. We talked about DeAndre Hunter on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings. Still a really strong play. I do like Kevin Durant tonight. I just think that he's got a really, really safe floor, and if somehow that game maybe can stay close, he'll play his full minutes, and I think he could crush that price tag. So I do like him quite a bit here. Some spend up stuff. Maybe Jaime Jaquez at 7,300. Perhaps PJ Washington at 7K. But really, again, it's another position where you're either going to be kind of in that mid range, in that 5K range, or maybe go up to like a 65, 7K player.
Okay, Noto, what are you doing at the 3?
Yeah, I like the Hawkhead call for large field stuff. He's been awesome. 45 plus in
balling.
3 of his last 6. No Bam. Obviously, Hero's out too. So, guy that I don't mind getting to in tournaments. Another guy, Jaylen Brown, if you do want to spend up. Usage rate's just been off the charts this season. Kind of a poor game last night, but much better game environment tonight at home against Memphis. I like DeAndre Hunter, 6,500. I think he just has a nice floor ceiling combo with all the Cleveland guys out. And then you have your Detroit guys that we talked about. Trying to see if there's anybody else that I would take a look at. I usually like Sadiq Bey in these spots, but I just think the Detroit guys are much better value than he is tonight.
I'm falling into a tough spot at forward. I've got 5,200 at forward, and I landed on Royce O'Neal. But on a night like tonight, that doesn't feel great. And yet I don't see anything there that. Do I have to play Holland? Don't make me play Holland again, please.
Did you say 5,200, Kevin?
Yeah, I've got 5,200 at forward, and I'm just there's nothing.
And
there.
you already have Kuzma.
Yeah, I got Kuz.
All right, yeah.
Javonte.
That is a pretty
Not a good spot. Anyways, Noto, power forward. What are you doing there while Tim tries to save my lineup and save me from playing Royce O'Neal?
Yeah, I don't want to play Royce O'Neal tonight, so I would go one of the Detroit guys probably there, Javonte Green or Ronald Holland. So, but hey, maybe Royce can get there for you. Power forward, love Avdia. Again, think he's a really good spend up, especially with all the value tonight. I don't know. Miles Bridges is a little bit interesting, especially with no Giannis. Don't have to worry about that matchup boost for him. Aldama with Ja Moran out. You have Bobby Portis and Kuzma here. So it's a good position. I don't have any super strong takes. I'm probably just going to play Avdia and Kuzma and then move on.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, your thoughts the 4?
Yeah, the 4. If you don't want to play Avdia as like a spend up option, I think there's a couple guys. I think you could play Bala Banchero tonight at 9,200. I think you could also play Miles Bridges here. So I think those two are fairly decent spend up options. They're not the best, but I mean, you're definitely going to be playing Kuzma in cash games. Like he's the clear and obvious. Bobby Portis is not as valuable on DK, not even close as valuable on DK as he is on FanDuel, but I still think he's a pretty strong play. 2 plays that might interest you, Kevin, as pivots off of Ronald Holland are Sadiq Bey and or Derek Queen. I'd play one of those 2 guys, Kevin, if you didn't want to play Holland. So I think they're pretty interesting pivots, but I mean, obviously I prefer Holland straight up, but I understand why people don't want to go back to that. But I mean, still, like if you think people aren't going to go back there, I would definitely be playing him. I mean, it's like people bust all the time. It's you're allowed to go back.
Yeah.
So
can I throw one more name at you that I'm looking at? Towns has been over 50 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5. He's 9K, and I don't know. Orlando has been faster paced this year. Is that a crazy play?
I don't think it's that crazy. I mean, he's probably equal to Banchero. You know, it's pretty close. I'm assuming between those two. I mean, Denny projects way better, but he's also going to be like 4 or 5 times the ownership. So you're taking a risk that maybe Denny doesn't quite get there. And if Banchero or Towns can outscore him, you'll be ahead of the field.
Yeah. Okay. I think he can, without a doubt. Let's go to center. Tim, what are we doing here? This spot is just loaded. It's just there is not enough center spots to plug in dudes on my app, and it is troublesome.
Yeah, center is absolutely loaded. You know, Paul Reed's definitely your cash game guy, your optimal guy, 3,900. But then it becomes so easy tonight to pay up for Wemby. So, you know, you're going to take those raw points, even though it's like not necessarily the best spot in the world. But Wemby at 11.6, if he just gets you his medium projection of 57, that could be good tonight. So Wemby is a very, very strong play. And then again, I love Şengün. I was going to be playing him. I know that Dean on the last show was hyping him up. I really like that call. Now, I don't think I am, because I'm probably just going to be playing Paul Reed and Wemby now, just because it's so easy. There's just so much value.
Yeah. I'm in that same dilemma. Noto, where are you landing in the center and util spots?
He makes a good point in that the raw points for Wemby, even if he gets to 55, 60, you might need him on the slate. And another thing with him is if you don't play him, like the next most expensive guy is 9,400, and then you're kind of forced to upgrade somewhere else and miss out on some of the good value plays, which I don't want to do. So I'm playing Reed, I'm playing Wemby, and I'm kind of foregoing the other good center options tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, guys. We still have plenty of time until lock. We did just get some news. Lively is out. I don't know. Maybe we were already planning on that. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure we already had him projected out.
Very good. All right. I've got just a few more spots to fill in, but the YouTube fans take precedent over my lineups. So let's answer some questions. Of course, we also start in the Discord. That's where the cool kids hang out. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't yet hit the thumbs up, I would implore you to do so. The show is free. And the more eyeballs, the more thumbs up we get, the longer we can keep the show free. It's that simple. So make sure you hit that thumbs up for us. Let's see. Oh, baby, we got all kinds of questions in the Discord. Yahoo single entry last piece, Noto, Knipple or Old Man Westbrook?
Knipple, even though it's Westbrook's birthday.
I I did see the birthday narrative thing.
I didn't know it was Westbrook's birthday, and it's Bonchero's birthday too, I think.
Ooh, double birthday narrative. Let's see. Tim, over to you. Mark says DK single entry. You want Cam Spencer or Cleveland guard value?
I think you're still gonna just want to go with Cleveland guard value, like Lonzo Ball, Merrill. Both projects better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we? Peterman says, Tim, what is your minutes projection for Brandon Williams?
Yeah. So if I just pull up the RG team's projections, I think it's 27.
Okay. Very good. Let's see what else we've got. Noto, a couple questions coming your way. J Sam says, FanDuel single entry. Noto, do you mind SGA as a spend up, and do you agree that his projected ownership, or do you think it comes in under that? I don't know what his projected ownership is, but do you mind him as a spend up, and what do you think about his ownership?
So yeah, talked about him a little bit on the FanDuel slate. We're at 20%. I think that's probably going to be lower than that. I do think point guard is a great spot to save, but if you're not playing Wemby and you want to, flip the roster construction a little bit, I don't mind it one bit.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Noto, right back to you. This question is from Achilles. Harden and Abdia. Damn, I didn't get any Harden. Harden and Abdia, or SGA and Allen?
Didn't even need to hear the second combo.
Yeah. All right. Tim, DK, Knipple or DeAndre Hunter on DK?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Hunter is definitely safer. I think he should take the ownership discount. Just hope that Knipple stays hot. They're both projected quite strong, and I think Knipple's going to be lower owned, so I'd go Knipple.
Can I play Bobby Portis, or does that dude just suck?
I think you can. Yeah, you definitely can. Yeah.
Right.
Yes to both of those questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes and yes.
We have the Pistons lineup: Jenkins, Robinson, Green, Holland, and Reed.
Okay. Anything there that stands out?
No, it's kind of what we were expecting. I'm glad that Jenkins and Reed are starting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we had projected once the Caden Duran got ruled out.
Okay. DKGPP D-Rock says, Tim, who would you lock in DK3 Max?
Who would I lock in? So definitely Reed, Jenkins. Kind of debating saying Kuzma or Rollins. I know Reed and Jenkins 100%. You're locking both those guys. I might even lock Wemby tonight, just because it's so easy.
Can't, because there's too many good center plays. Because you want a little Şengün. Don't you want a little Şengün? You do.
I mean, I would. I'm not like in a 3 max. I can't quite do it.
Yeah,
but it's close. It's close.
Yeah. Let's see. Thoughts on Tyrese Proctor, Noto?
Yeah, not really on my radar tonight. Maybe another slate with Cleveland being so shorthanded, but not tonight.
Yeah. Thoughts on Karis LeVert? I'm just now seeing I'm playing 100% Karis LeVert in a DK tournament. 100% might be a little aggressive, but what are your thoughts on him in general?
Yeah, he's not starting, but I think that's fine. If anything, extra usage off the bench. Sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to answer that. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, you were. Thank you.
It's up to it's really up to your own risk tolerance, whether or not you want to go all in on somebody, So Karis LeVert is completely fine if you want to do that. Just know that you have bigger risks now for your bankroll, which is how it goes sometimes.
Just debating if that's the guy. I just don't know if that's the guy I want for my bigger risk. Let's see what else we got. Man, a lot of questions still coming in. This is all in the RG Discord, by the way. And once we clear those up, we will jump on over to the YouTube as well. Tim, FanDuel, SGA and Hunter, or Harden and Durant?
I'm going to go Harden Durant.
Okay. Tim, I'm going to come back to you for another one here. It is Knipple and Şengün or Green and Wemby, DKGPP.
That's a tough one. I think we stick with Wemby tonight, so I'm going to go the Wemby side. But they're both really good.
Okay. Let's see. Noto, FanDuel GPP, Flag and Risa Shea. I actually love that pairing, even they're probably both coming in very low owned as well. Oh, or Westbrook and Herter, FanDuel GPP.
I mean, I'm not on any of those guys, but I would lean the second one.
Okay. I think Flag is going to have a monster game, and I approve being here. Single entry on DK. Noto, this one's for you. Reed is going to be so high owned with all the value at guard and forward. Is it viable to just play Wemby and Şengün, fade that 60+% ownership, or is that just dumb? And that's the question. Is that just dumb, Noto?
No, I don't think it's dumb. I think there's 10 guys at his price point that could easily have just as good a game as him at other positions. So, yeah, I mean, if Wemby and Şengün are the highest two scorers on the slate, it's probably going to be a great move.
Yeah, love that. All right. Tides. Oh, the same question. Can you play Wemby and Şengün? This is a FanDuel GPP question.
Yeah. Can you play Wemby? I think so. I was just checking to see like how much salary you'd have left over if you did that. So
I think it's just you can't play Reed if you're doing it, or can you still play Reed?
You can't play Reed. You've got 5,400 left per player. It's a little bit, makes me a little bit nervous, but I mean, you can definitely do it. There's plenty of salary tonight to do that.
Yeah. Is Sam Merrill going to shoot 16 threes again tonight? Did he shoot 16 freaking threes? That's amazing. Noto, is he going to get up 16 threes again?
Take the under.
Yeah, it's a solid bet. Jumping into the YouTube, we still have 5 minutes until lock. I'm scrolling up just a little bit. Noto, Harden or Booker, FanDuel cash?
Harden.
Tim, back to you. Fred says 4,500 on DK. Your favorite player minus Reed and Jenkins. So I assume it's util. 4,500. Reed and Jenkins out.
I'm pretty sure Sam Merrill's right there. Yeah, Sam Merrill would definitely be the guy. Again, projected for really solid minutes. Lonzo Ball is another person that you could consider right there. And if you really wanted to get really creative, I think Reed Shepherd at 4,400. So that whole price range right there is pretty strong.
Yeah. Okay. I think I might plug in Merrill in one of these spots where I'm 100% Levert. Just get a little pivot there. Speaking of, do we still love Levert is the question from Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very, very strong play. I would definitely consider him a 3 out of 3 play. Not like a auto lock 3 out of 3, but if you play 3 out of 3 of him, that'd be fine.
Very good. Noto, Knipple or Harden on FanDuel from Kenneth?
I assume there's something else attached to that. Harden's way more expensive. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're just deciding between those two, give me Harden.
Yeah. DK Noto, high dollar single entry, Wemby and Rollins or Denny and Şengün?
Oh, man. 4 guys I love tonight. I guess I'll lean number 1, though.
Okay. Eric says, Tim, you want Wiggins? This is Andrew Wiggins or Draymond?
I think Wiggins.
Okay, Tim, how many Cavs do you want to play tonight? Count them up. We got 4?
I don't know about 4. Maybe just 2, 1 or 2.
Oh, I was thinking Detroit. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Detroit's definitely you could definitely play it for Detroit, but Cleveland, 1 or 2.
Yeah. Okay. Levert or Duncan Robinson, Tim?
I'm going to go Levert. I know that Robinson could outscore him, and he will be lower owned, but I still like Levert.
Noto, we got a few for you. We still have about 2 minutes until lock. Let's try to knock these out. Knipple or Kuz on FanDuel straight up, Noto?
Cash, I would go Kuz, but I think tournaments I like Knipple.
Yeah. Noto, Buzelis or Kuz in a DKGPP?
I mean, if you have anything else lower owned, I prefer Kuz.
Okay. Tim, K-Town's Finest says, give me one of Şengün, Towns, Boncaro, DK single entry.
Oh, if you're just gonna pick one of those guys, I would go Şengün.
Yeah, I like it in that order. Şengün, Towns, Boncaro is.
I'd put Boncaro second.
Yeah.
Birthday narrative.
Oh, birthday Boncaro. I forgot about that. Yeah. Tim, CW says Powell, Merrill, or Flag Levert.
Oh. I do like Powell quite a bit tonight, so I'd do the Powell side.
Okay. Noto. Jorge says, I think that's Triple J and Rollins or Abdia and Holland. J Jackson, is that Triple J? J Jackson and Rollins or Abdia and Holland. DK Cash.
Yeah, I like Abdia and Holland.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Noto, Holland or Portis?
Oh man, Portis has been so bad that I think I would go Holland if you can use the extra salary.
Yeah. Tim, let's see. FanDuel Cash. Oh, we did Holland or Portis. Your favorite chalk to fade in a FanDuel GPP? Is there anybody who's coming in 30+% ownership that you're fading, Tim?
Fade in a FanDuel GPP?
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough one tonight. Mate. I mean, I'm playing him, so I don't want to sound like, I'm lying here, but Kyle Kuzma, because I'm also kind of considering John Collins there too.
Yeah.
So that would be the one of like these super, super chalky pieces that I would consider. But yeah, it's tough tonight.
Yeah. Did get a couple. We did hit lock. I missed 3 questions in the Discord. That's my bad. Let's run through them. That might be too late to matter, Tim. I don't know. But Ball or Merrill, DK last spot.
DK last spot. I think I'd go Merrill. Super close between those two, though.
Okay. Noto, this is a 3v3 from Go Irish. Knipple, Hawkes, and Jared Allen, or Merrill, Dean Wade, and Wemby.
Let's go Wemby side.
Okay. And then the final question here of the night is for a FanDuel GPP. Noto, Harden Westbrook or SGA and Reed Shepherd?
I guess I'll go with the birthday boy, Harden Westbrook.
Okay. And then do you like Hawkes or Flag better? Tim, you can answer that one and we'll clear on out.
I think I'd go Hawkes.
Yeah, I like them both, but I'm with you on that. All right, it is time to clear on out of here. Excellent show, as always, for Noto, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We do love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have